What's good YouTube? It's your boy OG Nonboy back with another video, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing a team from probably my favorite PvP YouTuber, FP Sticks, and this team consists of Deoxys Defense, WALREIN, and Diggersby. So the WALREIN nowadays isn't too popular of a pick, since it did get the slight nerf at the beginning of the season, and because of that a lot of grass types are now a lot more prominent in the meta, which ironically makes the WALREIN a pretty good pick, since a lot of times now teams don't really account for WALREIN being in the meta when building teams. So yeah, let's see if this team performs well in these battles here. So first match we have the Lickitung lead, and I do kind of misplay this lead matchup a little bit here, since typically when you see a Lickitung you know that there's a Medicham somewhere back there. So I'm staying in this matchup a little bit long here. I'm going to get this Thunderbolt off, but typically you do use the WALREIN as a safe swap to bait out a potential fighting type, and I'm not doing that here. So I'm going to throw this Psycho Boost and I'm going to dip into my WALREIN, but if they do have a Medicham, our Deoxys defense is pretty low, so it's going to be hard to deal with that, since our Deoxys defense is the best answer to a Medicham. So thankfully they bring in a Azumarill here, but this also isn't terribly comfortable, since our Deoxys defense again is the best answer to this as well, so it is pretty low. So I'm gonna shield this to try to get a little bit more damage off on this Azumarill, just to make the matchup a little bit easier for my Deoxys defense. So the opponent decides not to shield that. They're going to have to throw a move, since our WALREIN here does resist the bubbles, and they're not going to be able to farm us down. So we're going to bring our DD back in here, and I'm going to throw the Psycho Boost to get rid of this Lickitung. Now it's kind of what's up, it's up to what is in the back. And the opponent has a Nidoqueen, so they decide to leave that matchup there. So GG's to that opponent. Next match, we're met with a Venusaur lead, and typically when you see a Venusaur, you know that there's going to be a Galarian Stunfisk in the back. So the opponent gives up switch there and hard swaps into their Galarian Stunfisk. So typically when they do this, you can expect probably some sort of ABB line similar to ours. So they're gonna have another steel type or something like that in the back. So we're gonna stay in here and we're gonna tank both these earthquakes here. If the opponent wants a double shield, then so be it, since our WALREIN has good play against steel types and the Venusaur itself, especially up a shield. And if they shielded that, we would have been up 2 shields. So now we bring our Deoxys defense back in, and we're going to shield this Frenzy Plant, since it would hurt us quite a bit, and it ends up being a Bastiodon in the back. So another steel type there, and thankfully for us, they actually swap out of that Venusaur matchup, since this is our preferred alignment. We would much rather have our Deoxys here on the Bastiodon and our WALREIN on their Venusaur. So we're just going to go ahead and take out this Bastiodon. We should be able to farm down all the way, and we have enough energy for a Psycho Boost, which is going to be very threatening to the Venusaur. And at this point the game's over, since whether they decide to shield this or not, our WALREIN is going to be able to clean up this match in the back end. So good game to that opponent. Pretty interesting team. Venusaur, like I said, is becoming a lot more popular, since WALREIN isn't as prominent in the meta nowadays. So yep, next match here we have the Deoxys defense into an Altaria, and usually with Altaria leads, there's going to be a steel type in the back, and Deoxys defense loses that the lead matchup here, since the Altaria is going to be able to tank these Thunderbolts pretty comfortably. It can tank 2, as you're going to see here, and they get to these sky attacks pretty quick as well. So the opponent here actually decides to farm us all the way down and tank this Thunderbolt. They could have also thrown, I think, and not had to tank that, but they're going to farm us all the way down, and we bring our WALREIN into this, and we're able to snipe them down before they're able to get any energy off on us. And we swap into our Diggersby, and they bring in their like Swampert here. So now we're in a pretty tough position, since with this alignment, like, we're in a really rough spot, because our Diggersby like has a pretty bad matchup against this Swampert, and our WALREIN has a pretty bad matchup against the Registeel. Like, we need 2 Earthquakes from our WALREIN to knock out the Registeel, while they only need like 1 move plus their lock-on damage to take out our WALREIN here. So now we're down a shield too, and this isn't looking great for us. So I decide, like, I'm gonna bait here just so maybe I can get enough moves off on this Registeel, but that ended up like costing me the match. So it's like always hard to say in these positions, since like even if the opponent like did shield a bait, like, I think they still would have been in a pretty comfortable position against my Diggersby, since I'm only going to be able to get to 3 fire punches, which is what, like 15 mud shots or something, 14 mud shots. 2 earthquakes would also be like 14 mud shots. So now, like, they're gonna be able to get to the focus blast, and this is just gonna take out our WALREIN here. So GG's to that opponent. Good bait call by them, which ultimately cost me the match. So next match here, we have the Buzzwole lead, and this is a core breaker to our team. Like, all 3 of our Pokemon more or less lose to this Buzzwole here. So our Deoxys defense does have some play against this thing with the Psycho Boost, but between the Lunge, which already debuffed us, and our Psycho Boost debuffing us, like, we don't really want to stay in here any longer. And our next best answer is the Diggersby here, so we're going to bring that in. The opponent's probably going to build up to 2 superpowers and take us out, but they actually hit us with the Lunge first. So that's pretty devastating for us, because now they're not debuffed yet, we're debuffed, and they're going to be able to farm up a lot of energy before they have to take us out. So the opponent over farming a little bit there, and then they're going to take us out with the superpower. So I'm going to bring my Deoxys defense back in, and I'm just going to farm this thing all the way down. Like, I know I'm going to have to tank a move, and the Buzzwole there flexing on us too. So now we have a lot of energy. Psycho Boost hits pretty hard since it does debuff, and they bring in a Trevenant, so I'm kind of scared at this point. Like, our Deoxys defense is really low, and our WALREIN also doesn't do particularly well against the Trevenant there, since the Trevenant beats us to their Seed Bombs because they win CMP. So they actually decide to bring in their Bastiodon, which gives us a win con here, since I'm not gonna throw any energy at this Bastiodon here, so that I can hopefully come in with my Deoxys defense and farm this thing all the way down. And because I did that, I'm gonna have 2 Psycho Boosts ready for this Trevenant, and that should be enough for me to take this match. So yeah, kind of a heads up play from me, and like a little bit of a misplay from the opponent too, because I think if they stayed in with the Trevenant, then they could have gotten a Seed Bomb off on my Trevenant before I could reach a Icicle Spear on them. So next match, again, we're met with a Lickitung lead, and I'm gonna like take my own advice from the first battle, and I'm going to just chip the Lickitung a little bit and then swap into my WALREIN. So now this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, where we're able to bait out the Medicham, and we're going to be in a pretty good position here, since a lot of times you're going to see a Bastiodon or another Steel type in the back, and also you can see something like a Alolan Ninetales, but I'm expecting some sort of like Steel type in the back. So I know that my Diggersby is going to have a lot of play in this scenario, so I'm just going to use my Deoxys defense here as like a damage sponge to soak up this energy from the Medicham, and we should be able to take this thing out with the Psycho Boost. And I'm not really expecting my opponent to shield here, but they actually do decide to shield, and they swap out into their not their Diggersby, their Lickitung. And our Diggersby here, since I do anticipate it being pretty valuable, I'm going to farm up extra energy, and after I shield this next power whip, I'm going to take out the Lickitung with the Earthquake. Probably should have thrown the Earthquake first, and not had to potentially shield, but I don't know if the Earthquake would have killed the Lickitung from that range without the couple extra mud shots. And I'm a little extra there, and I throw the I throw the Earthquake instead of the Fire Punch against the Medicham, when maybe the Fire Punch plus a couple extra mud shots would have been enough to take it out, and I would have had a little extra energy for the back Pokemon. But it ended up working out anyways, since they did have a Galarian Stunfisk in the back. So overall, very solid team. WALREIN able to put in work. Like, all three of these Pokemon honestly put in a lot of work. Deoxys Defense is a really good bulky generalist, and the Diggersby is a really great closer, and the WALREIN really does put in a lot of work as a safe swap. So that's all for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.